Chapter 12. "What's a skyhawk?" said Lucky over the wailing siren. "The Axxa army ships," yelped Frolics. "When the space war went up, a bunch of them got trapped this side of it. They survived by raiding anyone gets in their way. They're pirates!" He scrambled away to join the captain in the cockpit. Mystica had gone very pale. She shuffled out of the cabin, whispering something under her breath. Perhaps a prayer of some kind. Lucky couldn't help noticing how slowly and awkwardly she moved, how frail her body seemed. "Is she okay?" he asked Bixer. The spangly flavour of the eyeballs was fading fast. "None of your business," she snapped, pulling on her body armour with the glitter and fur. "Better strap up. If this really is a skyhawk, we're in trouble." Lucky strapped himself into his seat as Bixer tapped on the vidscreens. The images of the 12 Astraeus dissolved, and the cabin wall was filled with fragmentary glimpses of the views outside again. Though a blizzard of static, he could just make out a faraway shape. It was closing in fast, with its viciously curved wings. It looked like a bird of prey swooping out of the sky. "It's a skyhawk, all right," breathed Bixer, as the sunfire pitched violently, first to one side, then the other, trying to get away. But slowly, inexorably, the skyhawk grew bigger on the vidscreens. "Can't we go faster?" Lucky asked, his chest tightening as if there was a rope tied around it. "No, we can. And see their cannon? If they get much closer, they'll blow us out of the sky." "Can't we shoot back?" Bixer shook her head. "The Sunfire has no guns," she said. "What?" "I told the captain 100 times we need to defend ourselves, but he never listens." "Attention, unknown craft," a harsh voice crackled on the comm. "We have you in our sights. Identify yourselves." "We're peaceful civilians," Captain Knox's voice replied. "We have no weapons and we have no quarrel with you." "From the stars we all came, by the authority of King Theobroma and the Axxa army," growled the voice. "Drop your dark matter drive and prepare to be boarded." The voice crackled off. Bix's needle went pale as they had before the Shadow Guards. She didn't look like a fierce, proud warrior anymore. She just looked scared. The motion of the ship slowed as the sunfire came to a halt stationary in space. The Skyhawk drew up alongside them, cannon jutting from its wings like claws. "Those pirates are coming aboard," called Captain Knox on the comm. "Bixer, hide the human. We're dead if they see him. I'll do my best to talk our way out of this, but they absolutely must not find him." Lucky's stomach was in knots. "But why would they do this to you?" he said. "You're Axxa just like they are." "Makes no difference," said Bixer. "If you're not part of their army, they won't think twice about killing you, whoever you are. And if you're an Axxa harbouring humans..." She stood up, needles burrowing into her hair. "Come on, let's get you out of sight." She rushed him below decks into the ship's hold. He hoped she was taking him to some sort of secret compartment, but as she led him to the small metal cubicle where he'd already spent many miserable hours, he realised that was where she really proposed to hide him, in the Sunflower's toilet. "But why here?" he cried. "Because it's the best we've got," said Bixer, opening the door. "We're civilians. This isn't a warship." Lucky looked at the fold-down metal seat. It was cold and dark in there, and despite all his efforts to keep it clean, it did not smell inviting at the best of times. "Get in," she urged, "and keep your mouth shut. If they find you, we're finished." Lucky shuddered and crawled into the toilet. The metal door groaned as he pulled it shut and locked it from the inside. He heard Bixer walk away. He was alone in the dark. At first he was just uncomfortable, but then he heard the pirates boarding the Sunfire, heard voices raised in argument, and he was afraid. "No threat to you. We have nothing that you need." "Is that right, old man? I reckon we could use your ship. Let's see what we've got." The pirates weren't going away. Even Captain Knox was powerless to stop them. Lucky heard compartments and cabins being opened up as they searched the ship, and now his mouth grew dry and his heart pounded in his ears, for he could hear footsteps coming closer, down through the decks, growing louder and louder. He breathed deep. "If these pirates find me, what am I going to do? Fight them? Me?" He heard their voices as they entered the hold. Harsh, hard voices, coming closer and closer. The pounding of his heart would surely give him away. It was so loud in his ears. "Hold it!" said a voice, very close indeed. "What's in here?" The footsteps stopped right outside the cubicle. Lucky had never felt so trapped. The door rattled. "It's locked," said the voice. "They must be hiding something. Smash it down!" Lucky panicked and kicked the door open. Two huge horned Axxa stood there, staring at him with surprise in their fiery red eyes. A third hung back behind him in the shadows. Lucky rushed out at them in desperation, hoping to slip through the gaps and get away somehow. Big mistake. One of the pirates blocked him easily. It was like running into solid iron. The pirate lifted him off his feet and flung him at the wall. Slam! The impact knocked all the fight out of him. Lucky sank to the ground, head spinning, body screaming with pain. The pirates towered over him. They all wore bulky armour and had deadly-looking cannon by their sides. They were very different to the Sunfire crew. They looked like battle-hardened bruisers with metal piercings in their faces and brandings on their arms. "This scrawny runt's one of them," said the first pirate. "Human scum on an Axxa ship." He cracked his knuckles. It sounded like bones breaking. The second pirate, smaller but sharper-eyed, scratched the base of his horns. Why would a human be on an Axxa ship? And why would they be hiding him? I, stammered Lucky, back against the wall. It felt so cold against his hands. "Maybe he's a peaceful human," mused the second pirate. "I heard there's peaceful humans." "The only peaceful humans are dead human," snarled the first one. "Please," begged Lucky. "From the stars we all came. Don't you dare say those words," raged the first pirate, horns glinting. "No one believes that anymore. Not since you sent your wolf to eat the stars. Not since this." He gestured at the third pirate behind him in the shadows, and it was only now that Lucky saw this alien clearly. There was something very strange about him. Where the other two had flaming red eyes, there was no fire in his eyes at all. They looked burned out, empty, like black holes in the sky. He was staring straight ahead, but his gaze wasn't focused on anything Lucky could see. Then the third pirate spoke in a broken-sounding voice that chilled Lucky to the core. "Nothing matters," he croaked. "Nothing matters anymore." The first pirate stamped a cloven hoof in fury, and the metal floor rang out. "You'll pay for what you've done, human scum. And after we've ripped you limb from limb, we'll execute those treacherous human lovers who harboured you, and take this ship for our own." He advanced on Lucky, eyes full of burning murder, teeth barred with righteous rage. "No! Please, no!" Lucky tried to back away, but there was nowhere left to go. The pirate reached for him with a huge hand. It closed around his neck, pinning him to the wall, and then it tightened like a band of steel, crushing air from his windpipe. Choking. He was choking. "Oh, why can't I fight like Bixer?" he thought desperately. "I wish I had power. Anything to fight back with, defend myself." Can't move. Can't breathe. No air. Lucky's eyes closed. But as everything started to go dark, he thought he heard something in his mind. A small, soft, silvery sound, like the chime of a faraway bell. It was calling to him, and something inside him responded to its call. At the centre of his being, a spark of power flared into life. It surged through his body, rising towards the surface of his skin. He opened his eyes and saw his fingertips begin to shine. The pirate released him and staggered back. Lucky gulped in the air, clinging onto life, and stared at his hands in shock. Light was pouring out of them, and the power was pulsing inside him as it rose and swelled and grew. It's like something from the legends," whispered one of the pirates. "Shoot him!" roared the first one. And that was when Lucky began to burn. He screamed in horror as a jet of fire flashed out of his own fingers. The pirate tried to move away, but the fire engulfed his body and scorched it all away. And then there was no pirate standing there, just a swirling column of smoke and ashes. The second pirate drew his weapon, aimed it straight at Lucky's face, and another blast of flame exploded from his hands. It torched the alien where he stood. consumed him in blazes. Searing pain was ripping through Lucky. His fingertips felt raw. He could smell something like sulphur filling his senses, overwhelming his mind. But still the light was flooding from his hands, his head, his heart. And the fire was streaming from him in every direction, igniting everything it touched. He tried to restrain it, but could not prevent it from obliterating the third and final pirate. All that remained of them now was smoke and ashes. Yet still the power was not finished. It was growing, glowing brighter all the time. Lucky felt sure it would destroy him if he did not control it. It would burn through his own body and his brain and then the ship's walls, and then it would kill everyone. What's happening? This is like a nightmare, he thought, with all his might to pull it back inside him. He tried desperately to rein it in. His whole body was shaking. It felt like the surface of his brain was boiling, like his head was splitting under the strain, erupting, breaking open as arcs of blinding pain shot across his face, bigger and brighter than anybody could contain. His eyes were on fire. From his nose and mouth and ears, the light was bleeding out, and Lucky wanted only to hide from it, but he couldn't, because it was inside him. It was him. He was the fire and the light and the burning in his brain. I'm going to break under this pressure. I can't take any more, but I have to stop it. Somehow I have to. The blood drained from his head. The ground rushed up to his face, and he fainted right there on the floor. Wow. So Lucky has some serious special powers. We thought he did, and now we've seen the proof of it. And the mention of the wolf again. I think Lucky will be the one to take on the wolf who is destroying the stars. And look, we've got to number 8. The wolf annihilates minds. The Astraeus of wisdom has no answer, for the darkness is too deep. So I think the 12 Astraeus, the 12 gods that protect the Axxa, are no match for this wolf, but Lucky might be. So on to chapter 13, and let's see what happens next. I wonder how the aliens are going to respond. Are they going to be pleased with what Lucky did, or are they going to be frightened? I'm intrigued.